Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel, and on this episode we're going to be doing part 2 of the nose swap on the F350 7.3. Alright, so in this episode we're going to be tackling the kit from McNasty. Andrew did a pretty good job on these kits. He's been doing these for a few years now, and I watched pretty much all his videos. I'll link down to his nose swap videos down in the description below, so guys check that out. He goes into full detail on what you need to do from start to finish. So I'm going to tackle this from my end. I'll try to do my best to show you guys how the kit is installed. I'll try to give you as much detail as I can without making the video super long. But it's a pretty simple kit. I mean, there's not much involved, honestly. Basically, you got this piece that goes on the radiator support. Goes on like that. I'm going to have to center it the best that I can. Every year has different holes on the radiator reinforcement. Some have brackets that go from the AC condenser to here, and there's holes here. Some have holes on top. Basically, what I'll have to do is get this as center as perfectly as possible, and then once I know where the center is, I'll do a couple small bolts on top, and then I'll mount this part right here, that part, and then I'll finalize the top section with different bolts and fittings, and that should be good to go for the grill. And then you take your fender bracket, and that goes kind of like that, in this spot like that, and then you got the bolts that go right here and there and there, and then you got this little support that keeps the bracket the height that it should be for the fender to pretty much go on straight. And then we got the driver bracket that pretty much goes on the same way, like so. Once we install the brackets on top, then we're going to deal with the template cutouts for the headlights to fit. Basically, this is a driver's side template. You have 2 factory holes on top, 1 on the bottom here. You line that up with these holes right here, 1 right there. And basically, bolt that up the best you can, and then you cut out the gray areas. So this is going to be a hole basically, and then you flatten this out with the radiator support, and then you trim the hole, and then so now you'll be able to after you trim it, you'll know exactly where you need to cut out the metal, and that's where the headlight will fit, and it's not going to give you any issues. And same thing on the passenger side, factory holes, line them up, bolt this paper to the radiator panel here, cut the gray section out, trim it, do the same thing here, and then you basically end up with the hole to fit all the the wires and the bulbs, and be able to get to the lights behind in order to change the light bulbs, etc. And then there's also this square right here, this square right there on both sides, driver and passenger side. That's for this bracket to fit like that. Basically, this bracket is for the bottom grill reinforcement section that's going to go across here. So we'll deal with this after we install the brackets on top and after we cut everything out. And also the bottom of the grill is going to be lower, so we're going to have to trim this frame rail as well. Once I get the brackets situated and everything else, so I'm probably going to deal with the windshield wiper motor and the cover on top there, and then we're going to get down to the bumper and all that stuff. Alright, so I'm going to cut these sections out, driver and passenger. I'm going to outline where I need to cut. We're going to get that trimmed. We're going to install the top bracket here, and we're going to install the fender brackets. And one more quick trim we're going to have to do is we're going to cut this section out a little bit here at the corner. That's where the fender is going to be hitting with the headlight. Same thing on the driver's side. As you can see, there's some scratches here. I tried to kind of temporarily put the fender on, and it was hitting this area right here. So like I said, go ahead and try to trim it nicely. me show you all the things that I have done so far and what else we're gonna do on this episode. All right, so first what I pretty much did is lined up the top bracket. I centered it. I used a square, speed square, pretty much got it to, those are the two factory holes right there. So pretty much centered that bracket with those two holes. And then once I got it to perfectly center, then I pretty much marked all the holes. And once I marked them all, then I start drilling. And the McNasty kit comes with these inserts, thread inserts. Basically, they go in there. And then you got to use this tool, which is not that expensive, honestly. I use this one on my Mustang and all that stuff. So I'll have the link to this tool down in the description below. Basically, that compresses the fitting on the inside, and then you have a threaded hole pretty much. Let me thread a couple of bolts right here, show you how it goes. One there, and then one there. And I still gotta drill these bottom ones and, you know, fit those in there. And so the bracket, McNasty Fender brackets, they're gonna go like this, and I'm gonna use stock bolts over here, one here and one there. And then the kit comes with a longer bolt for this side. So then I can actually bolt the fender to the fittings over here. I also went ahead and trimmed this spot. In the instructions it says to cut this out, and then when I was fitting the fender, this was hitting it, so yes, you do have to cut this out. I trimmed out the hole right here for the headlight, and then I cut this hole out right here. That's going to be for this bracket to fit in here, and then you're going to screw it to the sheet metal right there, and that's going to be for the lower grill support. And then I had to cut off this section right here on both sides. Basically it's 2 inches from the edge. You have to trim this piece, and then if you guys saw what I was doing, basically it's a lot harder, it's really hard to cut this off, and I was thinking of ways of doing it, and I mean the only way to really do it properly is to remove the door, but who's gonna do that? So basically I trimmed the edge here, and then I pushed this piece out as much as I could, and then I used the Sawzall and just cut the edge off the best that I could without trying to, you know, hit the body of the truck, and it worked out pretty good. Kind of hard to get a grinder in here, but that's the only way really I could think of doing it. And same thing on the driver's side. Trim the side, bend it out, and then cut underneath here, and then I hammered it in so it's nice and flush. Also went ahead and removed the wiper motor and then the cowl plastic piece, because that's going to be in the way, and that's going to be, you know, we're not going to need that. And then I'm going to have to redo the wiper motor later on a different episode, because I think I have to remove the motor and then swap it over to the new mechanism and then get that installed. And I think I have to redo some of the holes. I gotta look into that some more, but that's going to be in a different episode. So, and then this guy, we're gonna mount this bracket on this side. I'm gonna put 2 stock ones here, and then one that comes with the kit, I'm gonna put it in here. That's gonna be good to go on this side. Same thing on this side. Cut off the headlight hole, and then the hole for the bracket to fit in. And lastly, I had to trim the frame rail. Basically, this will be on a different episode. We'll do this basically this is for the lower grill to fit and sit down lower. And the kit, the bumper kit, comes with this bracket and a few other brackets. So we'll talk about that later on a different episode when we're going to be doing the bumper and the brackets and all that stuff. This bracket comes with the kit. You don't have to use it. McNasty's kit says that you don't have to use it. If you want to, you can, and then you can also weld it in if you want to. It's all up to you. The frame is pretty sturdy enough. The only thing is with this bracket, if you weld it in, then I think the tow hook will not fit unless you cut off the third bolt, maybe, and then you can bolt it up. I don't know. So we'll see. We'll see if I'm even gonna weld it in. I might just weld it in, and that's gonna block off the frame, and that's gonna be nice and sturdy, and maybe not have tow hooks. But then again, you know, it's one of those things that you kind of need. I might even trim the top piece so I can fit the tow hook underneath, kind of like that. That might be an option too. And then just block off the top section of the frame and be able to use the tow hook underneath. I don't know. I'll play with the idea. I'll see what I'm going to do with that when I'm going to be doing the bumper and the bumper brackets and all that stuff. All right, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to finish up drilling these holes right here. I'm going to go ahead, install these, and maybe just temporarily put the fenders on, see how they sit so they don't flop around. And then same thing on this side as well. Maybe put the headlights in. We'll see. Alright guys, and here's what we got. Now I installed all the brackets and the panels loosely just to see how everything sits and if I need to make any more adjustments. And that's what I recommend. Don't install things right away, you know, tighten everything down. Just install everything loosely just so it sits in place so you can see what else you need to adjust. Here on the bottom, I noticed that you need to actually trim this piece a little bit on the bottom here because it's hitting the door hinge and it doesn't let it go in. So that's one of the things that I'm gonna have to trim later. Once I get that trimmed, there's a bracket from McNasty with the kit that basically bolts on here. Then you press it against the body of the truck and then you screw this into the body. Now on top of the fender, I might have to trim a piece here because the grill will snap in here, and I think this might be in the way. But that's after I start fine-tuning the frame to the body, and then I'll see what else I need to adjust. Also, the fender will need to go up just a tiny bit, but that gets adjusted with this bracket right here. Once you get that in place, you can actually go up and down, adjust it how you need to. And also on the bottom, you can screw it on the bottom, you know, push it up a little bit, and that's going to be a lot better too. I put the grill on, a couple of bolts just to see how everything sits, and I noticed that the headlights need to go on a little bit, and what's not letting it go in is this piece right here. I'm gonna have to probably bend that in maybe half an inch or so, so that's gonna let the fender and the headlight go in just a little bit, and that's gonna be, you know, a lot tighter fit right here. But I'm gonna play with that, you know, later on. And same thing on the driver's side. This little edge right here will need to be either hammered in or bent in, whatever. I'm not gonna cut that off, but I'm gonna bend it in just a little bit so the headlight can go in maybe half an inch or so, and that's gonna be a nice tighter fit. But I'm gonna play with that later after I get the hood installed and see how much I need to go in on both sides, and so I can center everything. And also, the grill is sitting pretty good. It's sitting pretty straight, seems like. I was trying to see if I can find the center, and then you got this little centerpiece right here. So I mean, it seems to be sitting pretty good. I didn't obviously install this lower piece just yet. That's going to be for later on. I'm going to have to trim it, install it, and then weld in the frame, and then install the bottom brackets for the bumper, and then that should be good to go. And same thing on the driver's side. I'm going to have to trim this piece right here, and that's going to let me go in, and it should be good on this side as well. And by the way, this is why you trim this piece, this section right here. on the bottom here, because you got this fender bracket that's gonna go right here. I'm gonna drill a hole later, and then I'm gonna put a bolt in here with one of those fittings that go in there, the squash fittings, and that's gonna hold the frame fender in place like that. And that's where the supplied bracket will go from McNasty, right there. Alright guys, and that's what we got so far. On the next no swap episode, we're gonna deal with the frame. We're gonna block that off. We're gonna probably weld that in, deal with the bottom grill bracket. I'm gonna trim that, install that. That's gonna be good to go. We're gonna trim a few pieces there, underneath, on top, etc., etc. And I'm probably gonna finalize the wiper motor assembly, and then we'll see if I can get that installed. So yeah guys, that's where we at right now. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks for watching. If you're new, please subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.